Hello Spurs fans, welcome back to the channel with Kieran here talking all things Tottenham. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, support it with a like, and if you want, turn on the bell notifications so you get notified when the next video goes live. Today we're going to be talking about the Tottenham Palace game. We have wrapped up our 5th victory in a row and our 3rd victory in the Premier League in a row. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to keep a clean sheet, but Jose has flipped that and said it was a positive thing that we conceded the goal. If we talk about the lineup, Hugo Lloris started in goal once again. Reguilon returned to left back as I predicted. Doherty did stay as our right back, which Jose hinted at in his press conference before the game. He said although Serge is back, he did want to say that Doherty did have a really good game against Fulham, so he retained his place. And then at centre-backs, we managed to keep Sanchez and Alderweireld. Now, a lot of people have commented on the fact that Alderweireld doesn't play 3 games in a row very often, but this time it just proves he is ready. He did play again, and thank God we've got a settled partnership for the time being at least. As always, that midfield general, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, retains his place. We expect it now. He plays every single game. What a warrior. There he is again. Next to him was where we did see the surprise, because Harry Winks got himself a rare start. Now, I don't know if Tanguy had a slight knock or anything, but he has played a lot of games in a row. He's been getting a lot of minutes, the occasional 90 minutes. And we did see him wrapped up in blankets on the side of the pitch. So, for Tanguy, a well-deserved rest. But I think a few of us will be surprised that we didn't see Sissoko start, as he does seem to be the preferred of those two. But I think that Jose had in mind Winks is a better passer of the ball. He's more progressive for the team. And he had a fairly decent game, to be fair. Now we come on to the next 3, which is the one that I said he likes to chop and change the most. We knew Sonny was going to play on the left, and he retained his place. Moura was brought back into the side, so Dele Alli drops to the bench. And Bale gets another start. These are great things. His body is obviously reacting well. And then up top, the main man, Harry Kane. Who else? I just want to talk about a few little stats before the game. Harry Kane has the most assists in the top 5 leagues with 13 assists. Not what you expect of a striker to be top of an assist league, but there you have it. Harry Kane is a phenomenon. If you look further down that list, you'll actually see Sonny is on there as well, because he has registered 9 assists this season. And whilst we're on the subject of Kane and Son, they have now broken that Premier League record, the 25-year record held by Alan Shearer and Chris Sutton for the most Premier League combination goals in a single season. They now have 14. You know, these guys are on fire. I'm sure had Bale not have been playing, they may have broken this record a little earlier, because Bale is trying to worm in on that Kane and Son combination. But hey-ho, it's now a trio instead of a duo. So Kane and Son may slow down with their combinations, but I'm sure in future we will be scoring more goals. We have also hit the 100 goal mark. Now, for everybody out there that's been saying that we play a really negative defensive style of football, 100 goals is a lot of goals to score, especially when you consider the only team that has scored more than us in the top 5 leagues is Bayern Munich. So we can't be that defensive, can we, if we still manage to rack up these numbers in front of goal? Explanations, people? Now, the last stat I want to talk about, it comes from that man, Højbjerg, who he doesn't completely go under the radar, because we as Spurs fans know he's incredible at the job he does. He does get mentioned every now and again by the pundits. We know Mourinho loves him because he won't stop playing him no matter what. But once again, and this is the reason we bought him, he is currently top of the charts for the player that has won possession the most times in the Premier League this season. This is a massive reason we purchased him when he was at Southampton. Bearing in mind, Southampton aren't a top 6 team who don't have the most possession in their games. He was top of the charts when he was at Southampton as well. So that being said, let's jump in to talk about the game. We all know Crystal Palace have a good shape. They are hard to break down. Roy Keane was talking after the game, saying that how can we say they're good defensively when they concede so many goals? And I will get into that as we talk through the game. So in the first 15, 20 minutes, the settling in period, we do find ourselves with a lot of possession, but because of that shape that Crystal Palace take up when they're not in possession of the ball, we were finding it hard to penetrate them. We're having to go side to side, and we started to get frustrated. You actually see us trying to force the ball through gaps, which then gives away possession because Palace are so well balanced. And when I say they're so well balanced, they defend from the front. I saw many times in the game Ayew dropping back, chasing players, but more importantly, they had Christian Benteke behind the ball as well. There were several times in the game you see him drop into their own half to try and win back possession, and a few times he actually managed to do it. So there's a lot of hunger there from the players to fight and battle for one another, but this could be another reason why we don't see them score as many goals. They can't be as venturous because their players are quite deep. Whereas we have the luck of, if Kane drops deep, we tend to see Sonny, Moura, Reguilon when he's playing, Lamela, they all push further on. But Palace have the whole team back defending, so when they do get the ball and try and break, it's a little bit slower because they're waiting for other people to get up with play to push on so they can progress. But you cannot fault the effort and energy that they put into making sure they have enough men behind the ball to protect that goal. But 25 minutes in, we break them down and we get that goal. And it's that man, Gareth Bale. He's back. He's in form. So this goal, I want to give the credit to Lucas Moura and nobody else. I don't know what it is with him at the moment, but something has clicked. And it could be the fact that Ali is back and Lamela has been playing well. You really have to push for your place now. Moura's pressing is relentless. He presses hard on Milivojevic, runs around him and nicks the ball. Now, the ball luckily rolls straight into the path of Harry Kane, who starts advancing down the left in the 18-yard box. Now, the problem is when you're defending Harry Kane, you expect him to take a shot across goal. He loves doing this, but what he does instead, he has a quick look up and sees Bale approaching towards the back post. And this makes Kane take a slightly heavier touch, which throws the balance of the defender off. He plays the ball along the floor across goal. Gareth Bale, easy finish into the back of the net from 2-3 yards out. We're 1-0 up. Nothing the keeper could have really done about it. Just a bit of sloppy play from Milivojevic, and he was punished by Lucas Moura. But without Lucas Moura's energy there, we don't get the ball, we don't get a goal, it stays 0-0. 10 minutes before half-time, Crystal Palace start making their way back into the game. Their pressing's working, they're starting to put a decent chunk of passes together, and that pressure eventually pays off. 46 minutes in, and bang, Christian Benteke headers the ball into the back of the net. Benteke actually starts this off. There's a ball floating into the box, and Benteke actually wins the header that allows Palace to stay in possession. It's headed back outside the 18-yard box. Eze plays a nice little pass out to Milivojevic, and Milivojevic redeems himself for his earlier mistake, and he floats in this beautiful cross. I mean, there's good bend on it, it's a good height, it's a good pace. Benteke with a perfectly timed jump, towering above everyone, bang, into the back of the net. So this was a great cross and a really good finish, reminiscent of that old Christian Benteke that we've seen in the Premier League over the years. A good combination from the two players. But I will say this, from Spurs, it's not the best defending at all. When you watch it back a few times, you see Sanchez is with Benteke and then drifts forward. I don't know if that's because he thinks it's going to be a low cross or he feels like somebody else is going to come running across. So he drifts across. And because of this, Alderweireld is kind of left stranded because he already has a man behind him who he's in front of. And then he ends up in between his man and Benteke. And that leaves a massive gap for Benteke to put it in. So Sanchez there, that was his one mistake that I say that he has in most games. He didn't have a mistake in the previous game, but this time he should have been more aware of Benteke on his shoulder and stayed with him. It created the gap, but I will say, even if a defender had been with Benteke, I don't think they would have stopped him. The guy had a great leap, great timing. They may have put him off slightly, but you have to credit Benteke for the goal. It was a great finish. And that's it, half-time. So from that half, we can take away from the game the fact that, we've dominated, but struggled to break Palace down. And, we did score a goal, and it wasn't because of genius play and being able to create space. That goal is down to A mistake, really. A mistake from Milivojevic has let us in. So we head in 1-1. You know, and you're thinking, here we go again. We've just had a few decent games, and now we're back to the Spurs of old. So if you were watching the game live, you would have seen Wilfried Zaha out on the pitch in his shirt, ready to come on. He replaces Eze, who I didn't think had a bad first half. I just think this is Roy Hodgson thinking, you know, we're back in this game now. Let's really put the pressure on them. Not a bad idea. And I think many a Spurs fan was sitting there thinking, the last player you want to see after we just conceded a goal is Wilfried Zaha. However, we don't have to wait long for another goal. 49 minutes on the clock. Bang. We are back in the lead. Another goal by that man, Gareth Bale. And Bale starts this move off himself. He plays a really nice ball across to the left-hand side for Reguilon, who is bursting down the left-hand side. Reguilon whips across him. It's quite deep. Harry Kane cushions the ball back across goal for that man, Gareth Bale, to finish off the move that he started. Simple header into the back of the net. We are now 2-1 to the good. You have to say for this goal, Gareth Bale may be a different player to the one that we had before because he's had so many injuries over the years. He hasn't played that much in recent years, but he's certainly utilising the tools that he still has to the best benefit. You know, he starts this move deep and then he tries to join in the play. And what he decides to do, he makes a run towards the front post and he's actually calling for the ball from Reguilon. He wants that cross straight to him, but it doesn't. It goes to Kane. But that doesn't stop Gareth Bale. He stays alive. He continues to make a little bit of movement in the box and then connects onto that header. So what you have to say there is just intelligent play. And the initial pass out to Reguilon was a lovely pass. And in this game, Bale made many a lovely pass. The guy is absolutely quality with that left boot of his. And 2 minutes later, we have the ball in the back of the net again. It's now 3-1. So whatever was said at half-time really spurred these guys on. They don't want to be that team that keeps allowing teams back into the game. But this time, it's Harry Kane chipping in with a goal. And oh my God, this is the finish of the bunch. Hands down. What a finish. And when you watch the goal from when it starts, it's a really good bit of team play. Like Moura plays into Sonny, who just plays it out to his right to Bale. Bale plays it to Doherty. Doherty plays this little cutback. And I think anyone looking at it sees Kane coming onto it. You expect him to play a deep cross into the far post. That's not the case at all. He just hits it first time. Not just with power. The ball's got pace on it. It's got swerve. Gaeta has no chance whatsoever. What a finish. This is a world-class finish. To hit that first time with that power and the swerve on it. Palace end up making a change and they do see the introduction of Schlupp, who is back from injury now. So you have those two men, Schlupp and Zaha, on the pitch together. And it almost pays off. I mean, the guys are both back from injury, so you don't expect them to be fully up to speed. But Zaha's been on the pitch long enough now to get a little bit of a rhythm. Schlupp and him combine. And unluckily for Zaha, his shot comes off the post, ricochets into Lloris and out. You know, on another day, that may have been posting in, or comes back off the post and hits Lloris on the back and goes in. But, you know, Palace fans, you've got something to be excited at. It didn't take Zaha long to start showing glimpses of, you know, the guy that you know and love. So I think for you guys going forward, it's going to make a difference. And I think the goals are going to start coming. Just after that, we see Winks and Bale. Their night is done. They are off. You know, Bale's made great contributions in this game. So he deserves a rest. And to me, the fact that he's come off early is either because he's indicated he wants to come off, or the fact that Jose wants to play him on Thursday as well, which is going to be another big game. And, you know, that's a lot of games that he's going to be starting on the bounce, so he needs his rest. Winks had a fairly decent game. You know, he did his job. He did help us progress. Is it enough to guarantee himself another start? I'm not too sure. Against Tanguy, I don't think that's going to happen. The guy's just in great form at the moment. It's going to be really hard to knock him off. But Winks definitely did himself justice in this game, especially considering he hasn't played a lot. So good levels from him. Hopefully some more to come. And the two players that they are replaced by is Moussa Sissoko and Eric Lamela. I still feel Eric Lamela is really unlucky not to be getting any starts at the moment because he's playing really well. But then on the flip side, Lucas Moura is also playing really well. You know, Lucas has added that tenacity that we see from Eric Lamela, where he's just going in for stuff. I just think Eric Lamela's a bit better at the tackle, but then Moura is better at the dribbling side of the game. He does get past more players, and he's slightly less wasteful than Eric Lamela. And Moussa Sissoko, we know what we're going to get from him. He's going to help break down play. He's going to be sturdy in there, do his job. We don't expect anything too wonderful for him. So it's a safe bet to put him on to help us shore up the game. And then 76 minutes in, we have another goal from that man, Harry Kane. That's 2 for Bale, 2 for Kane. And this is that classic combination of Son and Kane. Again, the credit almost has to go to another player. So Lucas Moura got the credit for the first goal with his high pressure pressing. This goal, there has to be some credit go to Eric Lamela. It's a lovely little curled ball. He just dinks it round to Sonny at the back post. Sonny with a first time cushion volley across the goal to his man Harry Kane in the middle, who headers it down into the back of the net. Another easy goal. But easy goals are good things as well, because what that means is good team play. You know, you've taken the opponents out, so you haven't had to try and hit one of those worldies. It's not a hopeful goal, it's a purposeful goal. Another nice bit of team play, and this is the goal that helped Sonny and Kane break that Premier League record. Now after this, we got what I actually asked for in the last video. I said, when we're comfortably in the lead, that our big players should go off. We've already seen Gareth go off. You know, his night was done. And I think maybe Harry was left on just to ensure that it's going to happen. Because as we saw against West Ham, we had a 3-0 lead and ended up the game 3-3. And Palace, they do look dangerous at times. You can't deny it. They can have that moment where they break and hit you, as they did to us with the Christian Benteke goal. They're not too shabby from set pieces. And later on in games, we are quite susceptible to giving away free kicks, especially with Eric Lamela on the pitch. The guy loves the challenge, doesn't he? But what I asked for in the last game does happen. You know, it's all over now. It's 4-1. Harry Kane, he's taken off. And Carlos Vinicius does get some much needed minutes. Although it's not as many as I would have liked. I think had we have gone 4-1 up on 70 minutes, the same change would happen. And Vinicius does well when he comes on. He hassles, he's making runs. He tries to go past a few players with that Brazilian flair. So considering the guy only had 10 minutes, I think he did very well with the time that he was given. I also want to say that when Lamela was on as well, he's really making the most of the time that he's got. And it's just amazing to see him fit, and he contributes so well. He's a very skillful player on his day and really contributes to the team. And as I said, is the main reason why we get that 4th goal in the first place. So if we now talk about the reasons why Crystal Palace, despite the fact that they have good defensive shape, managed to concede goals. So their shape is great. And I feel that it really works if a team isn't in full flow. So as we saw, when we were trying to build and we weren't playing at our full pace, Palace contained us really well. So against most teams in the Premier League, the way they set up will work. They do work really hard, and it's so hard to find gaps. You can't pass your way through them with 1 or 2 touches and a pass. To break down Crystal Palace, you have to ping, 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 ping. It has to be those quick one-touch passes. You really have to be on your game against them. And, you know, that's what happened for a few of our goals. We just hit them quick. And when you hit them quick, it doesn't give them time in the transition to get into that defensive shape. So players are out of position. They're not completely behind the ball. And that is the way that you can break them down. So I think the only thing Palace can take from that is that they just need to be a bit better in possession, maybe. Because they're not really doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that they were outpaced in those particular moments. So if we move on to the post-match interviews, Gareth Bale was up and he was just saying, you know, the team has amazing attacking players. There is real fight for places at the moment. And that's something that I mentioned in a previous video, that I feel the reason why we're seeing the best of them is because they're not guaranteed to play. It's hard to be complacent. I think the only 2 people that can be a little bit complacent at the moment are Son and Kane. And, you know, they've earned their right to be. But for the other guys, they really have to prove themselves, so they're battling against one another, and we're seeing the best results from that. Bale also said about Harry Kane being an incredible striker, which we all know he is, but it's nice to hear from a fellow player that has been at the top of his game previously, was a world-class player. Still is. It's in there, and it's gradually coming out. He also mentioned that he's not 21 anymore. And, there's changes in his body which he's had to adapt to. And I agree with that. I don't see that as a defeatist attitude at all. Cristiano Ronaldo has said many times in interviews that where he's got older, he's had to adapt his game. He is still absolutely rapid. He was a pacey winger. We see him play up front most of the time now. It's an adaptation to his game. He doesn't take on as many people as he used to. So how can we expect a Gareth Bale that's not played much football and had a lot of big injuries to be taking on people? The guy's adapted well, and I trust him. Jose trusts him. What more can you say? Jose's interview, and we know that he loves to make a comment about negativity surrounding us. And one of the biggest things is that we've played negative football and we're very defensive. So of course Jose was going to bring up that we've scored over 100 goals this season. But instead of saying, you can't say we're defensive and negative, he flipped it. For a defensive and negative team to score 100 goals, it's not bad. You've got to love his attitude sometimes. His interviews do make you laugh. They go one of two ways. He either gets really annoyed or he uses sarcasm. I'm a sarcastic guy, so I appreciated it when he did that. Now, the strange thing of his interview was when he said that it was a good thing that we conceded, which actually confused the person interviewing as well. Now, the reason why he said it was a good thing to concede is because it let us know that when we're not hitting that high press and we go into a low block, we concede pressure. And we've said this many a time, and Jose has said many a time, he's not telling the players to do that. He wants them to press. You can hear him at the side of the pitch saying press, press, press. And it's not happening. So when we drop deep, this is exactly what happens. We invite the pressure, and when teams have the quality that they have, and all Premier League teams have this quality, they will punish you given enough opportunities. And that's exactly what happened. So for him, he said it was, a good thing we conceded. It was good timing. Went into the changing room and told them that they need to go out there and do the job. And it obviously did, because they came out, fired up, ready for the second half and really switched it on. So Jose was right. Conceding that goal was a good thing. It teaches them a lesson. Don't allow it to happen again. If we then score in the second half, we score again and again. Don't score and sit back. Score and keep the pressure on. The fact that you've scored means something is working, so why would you then sit back to protect it? Baffles me. He was asked about the contributions of his players, mainly Lucas. He said Lucas had good energy, but he said it's hard not to stand there and praise all of the players individually. So I feel like he was pushed to talk about individuals. He said, Lucas gives us good acceleration into the game, his dribbling ability, and he did. He really pushed the idea of the press, and it's something that the other players need to look at and be like, hey, if Lucas is going to do this for 90 minutes, we can do it when the ball comes near us. So massive credit to him. He also spoke about Bale, and you have to say it's been proven now. There is no denying it. Trust in Bale with his own body was definitely the best thing, because we are seeing the best of him. So well done, Jose, for leaving him out when you could have forced him onto the pitch. He also spoke about Sonny. Sonny hasn't been contributing with goals galore and assists recently. But he did say that Sonny works really hard for the team, and I felt he did today. A player that wasn't mentioned was Reguilon, and I actually felt he had a very good game. He was up and down, and when he goes on a sprint, he really goes on a sprint. Proper venom behind it. He contributed very well today, helped the balance of the team, so players like Sonny can cut inside. It just stretches the opposition. And another thing that I was really pleased to hear him say was talking about the fact that he loves it when substitutes come on and really give him that energy. It is so easy for a substitute to come on with not much time left in the game, when the game's dead, and sort of just settle in and do their job. Now, you're not going to get that from Lamela. Lamela comes on, he doesn't care. We could be 12-0 up. You will still see that guy running about, flying in. Why? Because he wants to fight for his place. That is hunger. He's not just settling and being like, oh, I'm just that guy that comes off the bench. He wants to fight for the team. He wants more goals. He came on. He created another goal. He hassles people in defence. So from that perspective, you can see exactly why Jose Mourinho was so happy with the substitutes. And Sissoko did his job as well. He helped shore things up. Now, the last person I want to talk about is Greame Souness. And I think all Spurs fans will agree that he was talking out of his backside. I don't know what it is with these pundits. Like, we had Roy Keane talking crap the other week, and now Souness, like, crapping on Bale. The thing is, I can understand where he's coming from. You know, why is Bale not banging on the door and blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, you're not there. You don't know the situation. You are just looking from the outside. You've got Jose coming out saying that we need to trust him, he needs time to build and blah, blah, blah. And it's obviously worked. And Souness did say many times he's a massive fan of Gareth Bale's. Massive fan. He's a superstar. He's a worldie on his day. But the frustration is, if that's the case, get off his back. You know, the guy has had some really bad injuries, and the fact is a lot of them are recurring. It's not like he's had an injury here, an injury there. They're isolated injuries that keep occurring to the guy. So the confidence isn't going to be there to do what he can do. And thank God for Micah Richards sitting there saying, you know, he had a lot of injuries problems, and it does make you doubt yourself. And for some reason, Greame just couldn't get that into his head. Like, I do genuinely think he likes Bale as a player. And I do think some of his comments make sense. But if you're not feeling confident in your body, you can't knock on the manager's door saying, I want to play. I'm 31. I'm a great player, blah, blah, blah. Because if you then go on the pitch and you're not confident in your body and you don't do things right, that's your career over. Who's going to want you after that? But by playing the waiting game, if we can see his best form moving towards the end of the season, Real Madrid might want to keep him. I mean, I doubt it just because of the wages he's on and the fact that there could be another injury at any point. And Zinedine may stay, and he doesn't like him. But that could earn him a permanent move to Spurs. So another 4 goals for Spurs. Unfortunately, not a clean sheet. But we are now 2 points off Chelsea, who currently occupy 4th spot in the Premier League. You know, that may change, and we may be a little further off the pace because West Ham and Everton have a game in hand on us. West Ham can leapfrog us, and Everton can push just a little bit further away, so they'll be 4 points clear of us. But, you know, we have definitely clawed our way back into this race. And from here on out, hopefully only good things. So the next time I will speak to you guys will be after the pre-match conferences have come out for the Dinamo Zagreb game, with all the team news and stats and talk on Dinamo Zagreb. But as always, stay safe and come on you Spurs. Hi guys, thanks for joining me for that video. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit it with a like to support. And you can turn on the bell notifications so you get notified when the next video goes out. And I just want to give a shout out to one of my oldest friends, Matthew Condi. Thanks for giving a little score prediction below in the last video. Unfortunately, you weren't right. And also we had a score prediction from his son, Lorenzo. So Lorenzo, thank you very much for your score prediction. You went for a more realistic scoreline of 2-1. And although I would have loved for you to have been right, you weren't. But you'll be a happy boy because you got to see 4 goals from our main men, Harry Kane and Gareth Bale. Take care, guys. And as always, come on you Spurs.